Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss The Irishman, starring Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Harvey Keitel, Ray Romano, Bobby Cannavale, and Anna Paquin, and directed by Martin Scorsese. Now, I know this was a book, and it also is a true story because Jimmy Hoffa was a real guy. So, let's see what all this is about, and let's see if it deserves the Oscar. We start off with an older and crippled Frank Sheeran, played by Robert De Niro, as he explains the story of when he was younger, with his wife Irene as they take a trip with Russell Buffalino, played by Joe Pesci, with his wife Carrie to his cousin's wedding. And I like the fact that we see point of view from Frank's story, starting off with how he was a truck driver and he meets Russell for the first time and from fixing a truck. And I'm really liking and caring for these characters. William, aka Bill Buffalino, played by Ray Romano, who's Russell's cousin and a lawyer, and even though he sounds the same from Everybody Loves Raymond to Ice Age to hell, even The Big Sick, I always enjoyed Ray Romano's presence, and I've always called him Everybody Loves Raymond, but here I'm going to call him Bill throughout the movie, and I also really like his character, and he's always fun to watch. Russell welcomes and baptizes their baby girl, and Frank gets asked to whack a guy until mob boss Angelo Bruno, played by Harvey Keitel, who wants to talk with Frank about being in Delaware for a job that pays 15 grand, and Angelo says to keep it and lead the person who hired Frank to Angelo. And I do think De Niro got robbed at the Golden Globes because it's his plus Joe Pesci and Al Pacino's movie. And I'll get to Pacino much later, and their characters I related with the most as they're giving their greatest performances of their careers. And they're fantastic in this movie. For example, the scene at the bowling alley, Russell acts creepy towards Peggy as a little girl who's Frank's daughter, and Pesci pulls that off very well, and De Niro is great in this movie as well. Frank meets Jimmy Hoffa, played by Al Pacino, over the phone, and he's running for president against Robert Kennedy. And Pacino pulls off the character very well, and it's no wonder he's competing Best Supporting Actor against Joe Pesci. He's that good in the role. Eventually, they meet in person and offers Frank a job to help him run for president, and these scenes work great. The thing that kind of distracted me was the subtext of who the person is and how many times they've been shot. It just drove me crazy to the point it's unnecessary. Kennedy wins the run for presidency while Russell is voting for Kennedy, and Jimmy is upset by the fact Kennedy put him in prison. And I like how accurate this movie is about Hoffa versus Kennedy. It rang true to the past, particularly since how President Kennedy was shot, which did actually happen at this a severe as everyone that lives in America should know. Jimmy is in prison talking to someone about you people, and he beats the living fucking shit out of him. And the movie is talking about someone getting away with murder, and Frank and Russell go to a comedy show, and Russell is pissed off and the comedian, and it's Joe's birthday, and Russell disrespects him, and I like how Scorsese moves the camera and how to use POV. And Frank shoots the guy that got away with murder, aka Joe, and throws the gun in the water, and we see Peggy grown up and played by Anna Paquin, who I like as an actress, but here she's underserved in my opinion. Frank has a party where Jimmy presents an award to Frank, and Jimmy takes heat for his union, but he's still honored to present the award to his good friend Frank. And I like the production design of this scene. This is a great looking movie. Russell gives Frank the Ring of Powerful Men, and I'm enjoying this movie for the set decoration. Frank warns Jimmy about something that'll happen to his union, and of course Jimmy wants to go to war with them. And I will say this movie is very long at 3.5 hours. And one last time, Scorsese is never brief, but I'm still enjoying despite how long this movie is. Frank goes in a car with one of Jimmy's kids, Chucky, and Sal brings up a fish that Chucky had to deliver for a friend, and Chucky gets frustrated, and hell, even Jimmy gives him shit about it. And I think this scene should have been cut out of the movie. And honestly, the movie needs to trim a lot more in the editing room, in my opinion. Frank shoots Jimmy in the head, and I thought personally this should have been the end of the story. And De Niro explained the end of the story that would have been a much better ending than dragging it for 30 more fucking minutes, because this movie's credits are fucking 10 minutes long. Frank and Russell are in prison, and that's when the movie starts becoming depressing as Russell dies, and Frank gets out of prison, and Frank falls down and gets on a wheelchair, and Frank tries to apologize to Peggy for not being a good dad, and the movie's ending is very depressing in my opinion. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 8.0 out of 10. This is a very long movie, but it's a great movie, but a depressing ending. I do like the production design, and the acting is very good, but the movie is very depressing, and some of the actors do get underserved in this movie, but it is a good piece of work from Scorsese, De Niro, Pesci, and everyone else. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me to discuss The Irishman, and until next time, and action.